morning, LDCC.
We're here.
We are here. We are here on a Monday morning. It is Monday morning.
Right. The Monday Morning Miracle is back.
It
At least
is.
for one more episode. Right?
At least for one more episode. We'll see what this summer holds for the Morning Blend. But we have so much going on this week coming up, graduations, and I also want to welcome Mr. Joe Lane, who's here on the podcast for the first time, right?
Yes, absolutely. Let me mention I'm a little emotional about this.
Mr. Joe.
Cameron, how long have y'all been doing this now?
It's been about 2 years, I think, a year and a half around there.
I remember the first time that Professor Pierce came over here to be a part of this and everything. And this is such a great thing for the community, and it's a great thing for Delta. And I thought, man, that's cool. And he came back, and I thought, he's going to ask me to come on that show. I know he is.
Yeah.
And so every Monday after that, I always dressed nice because I knew. I knew he was going to ask me. I knew he was going to ask me to come.
Ryan.
And weeks went by, and months went by, and I gave up. I gave up. I said, I'm never going to be on the show. And then I found out, Ryan came in my office and told me that finally you had requested that I come on the show. And so finally I have the opportunity. So I just wanted to give you a gift. I just wanted to give you some chocolates.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank you so much for getting me on the show after 2 years. Since obviously my boss didn't want me.
I'm just glad I could come through for you, Mr. Joe. I knew there was a talent there just waiting to be discovered.
It means a lot. It means a lot. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
I'm a little more composed now, so I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
I understand your emotions.
Wow. Talk about this is a trend. He's been watching the show. The trend is to mess with me.
Ryan, he's just sharing his story. I don't know what you're talking about.
What about to this video?
No.
Oh, man. I'm
he's
hurt
sharing
now.
his story.
I think I'm going to leave, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. You're going to get out of here.
All of your support is on the chat right now. It's probably the most chat activity we've had ever, right? Miss Sharonda Bridges, good morning. Dr. Lane is so wonderful. He's so funny to me. Rhonda Lindsay, love you guys, Mr. Lane. So glad you finally got on.
Oh,
See,
it's
this
my
is what
fan
the
club.
masses were
It's
wanting.
my fan club.
Yes.
Johnny Norman saying Mr. Lane is a national treasure. Wow.
You know?
Wow. Yeah, y'all keep it up with all these comments here. I'm telling you, boy. And apparently I'm just the worst.
Well, we'll focus on the positive here. The point is your dream finally came
My
true.
dream came true.
You're on the air, and we're so glad to have you. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's fun to be here, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Professor Lane always brings the fun. He's a jokester. Y'all didn't know that, right? You don't hang around him enough.
Right.
But Professor Lane, he's always got something up his sleeve. He's very clever.
Heck yeah. Hey, I see that. I'll be eating what was up his sleeve later today. So
Professor Pierce and I have had some good times. We just seem to just work together really well, and so he saw me walk in with something in my hand, and he didn't know what I brought in, but he knew that hadn't been talked about, so he was like, what's he got up his sleeve?
He's got a surprise for me.
And let me tell you about Professor Lane, because see, I go and I say hi to everybody, in the morning before I come over here usually, right? And his door was kind of cracked a little bit, and that's a little different for him. And I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just trying to concentrate on grades. So I talked to one of the other professors, Professor Campbell, and it's like he's just being real quiet, And I say, okay, Professor Lane, I'll see you over there. And he says, okay, but the tone of his voice wasn't like very, like just wonderful.
Yeah.
He was getting into character. I know he was. That was the whole deal. He was getting himself ready for this moment so that he could just, completely pull this off and make everybody laugh.
And you were thrown directly under the bus.
That's right.
I'm under two buses right now.
Yeah. Triple-decker bus over there. Well, it is Monday morning, and this is what we try and do. We joke around. We try and get everybody ready for the week, ready to tackle whatever comes our way. Before we get into a bunch of our news, upcoming events, I do have a question of the day.
What is the question of the day?
And I am very curious to know both of your answers. So the question of the day is, what is your favorite TV show of all time?
Ooh, of all time.
Yes.
who's going first on this?
I'll
one?
go first because I know the question, so I was kind of ready.
Okay, you go first.
My favorite TV show of all time is Gilmore Girls.
Gilmore Girls.
Yes, I don't know
Gilmore
if
Girls?
anyone's heard of that, but
Can you sing the theme song for us?
No, not on air.
Not today.
You're not tricking me today, Ryan. But
How about hum it?
if I'd known you'd ask, I'd play it for you.
Well, yeah. Okay. Does anybody
So-
else out there in cyber world know about the Gilmore Girls?
Yes, everybody knows about the Gilmore. So Gilmore Girls follows a mother and daughter duo. You have Lorelai and Rory Gilmore, and they are trying to get Rory through school so that she can eventually go to Yale, Harvard, her dream college. So
You said.
I know I spoiled it, but it is just a good feel-good show. The jokes in there are really quick, witty, and there's a lot of references in the jokes and the writing. I love the show. I watch it once a year, which is pretty frequent because it's a 7-season show.
Now, what you didn't say to the audience is that you don't just watch it once a year. You don't watch just a show. You watch the entire anthology.
Yes, everything.
You binge watch that at some point throughout in a year.
In the fall.
Oh, it's got a season.
Yep.
Wow.
Whenever it's coming up around the fall, I'm like, okay, it's time to watch Gilmore Girls, and I usually finish it before Thanksgiving.
Johnny Norman says Gilmore Girls is in my top 3. Johnny.
What? Johnny! I had no idea. Oh, Miss Rhonda, too, is saying Gilmore Girls with the coffee cup. They love coffee in that show. So, yes.
Wow. Well, we thank y'all for all that. I would say.
Thanks for the support.
Yeah, really. I mean, I would say, I don't know if I'm dating myself or what, but all time, it's hard, but I'm going to say as of recent times, the show Frasier. And especially the newer series, which took me a while to get into, is a really good show. Always witty banter, always clever, and just fun, you know. And so, if anybody out there likes Frasier, like this old man right here,
Frasier's
raise
a
your
good
hand.
show. Frasier's a good show, though. I've watched it, you know, whenever I was growing up a lot, and even as a kid, I found it, you know, funny and
That's so
witty.
funny you said that. You know, as I was growing up.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Well, it's also cool when a reboot can also be a
Yeah.
good show. Usually the reboots crash and burn, but if the one
Yeah.
for Frasier is pretty good, that's
Yeah, I
an
think it
impressive
is.
accomplishment.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Mr. Joe.
Wow. I guess probably if I go way back, a couple that I really enjoyed was Gunsmoke.
Oh yes, classic.
That was a neat show. More recent shows, I like the Equalizer with Queen Latifah.
Oh, okay.
I like Tracker. I like those two shows.
Yeah.
I like the Andy Griffin show.
Yeah.
Back a long time ago, but you know, maybe my favorite was MASH. Those surgeons that were in Korea.
I
you
love
know, you remember
MASH.
the show that may have been my. But any and all of those, I like. I've liked.
Professor Lane, I got to tell you, my dad, he was a huge MASH fan.
My dad too.
The 10 o'clock news went off, and I think right at 10:30, MASH would come on, and I could hum that, but I won't hum the theme song.
Come on, Ryan.
might
You hum
just-
yours, I'll hum mine.
No, because everybody's going to run for cover if I start trying to make a tune happen. But, yeah, that's great. And you know what? The Tracker's a good one, too. I have watched that a time or two. So, yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, those are some classics that you shouted out there. And MASH was my dad's favorite show, too, at one point when I was growing up. And it's so funny. Even when I was a kid, I would laugh at that show. It's just the comedic timing of everything.
absolutely. Yeah.
So
That's
good. Yeah, so those are some good shows. I've added some to my list. Johnny Norman in the chat says The Office is his number one, which that's fair. The Office is a funny show. It's a really good one to watch. So
Absolutely.
thank y'all. I feel like it says a lot about you, what you watch on TV. And so I really enjoyed y'all's answers.
Yeah. Professor Lane, I mean, you know, I'm surprised that you watch much TV, because I know you're very active, and you know, whether you're running a 5K or, you know, cutting down trees and in the backyard.
Well, I'm kind of probably like Cameron. I don't watch much live. I record it, and then you know, if I have a time that, you know, hey, this would be a good time to go watch something or something like that. So that's you know, I do it. Also, when you record them, you can watch them a lot faster. You can get through those.
Yeah, you skip those
and things.
commercials, right? Yep.
That's the 2025 cheat code right there.
Yes.
DVR and then fast forward.
Not a good thing for a marketing professor to say, but
Marketing people know all the tricks, though, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
that's
That's
who
true.
we are.
You've seen all those commercials anyway.
A lot of times.
Yeah. Well, all right, you guys. We have an agenda that's on the printer that I'm gonna run and go get while we play this this sequence right here. So we're gonna dive into our upcoming events. Never mind, they didn't print because my printer is loving me today. But y'all can follow along, and I promise I will get us through. So our first piece of news is that our LDCC ASN program has been granted continuing accreditation.
Yes,
Yay.
wonderful.
Yes.
Woo,
So
awesome.
this is a big deal, and I feel like it's one of those things that happens behind the scenes that there's a lot of work that goes into getting accredited, and it's an amazing honor to have this badge on our website for this program because it shows that we have quality education that we deliver at LDCC every year with proof behind it to back it. So congratulations to our faculty and staff. I know they all worked really hard to get this accreditation. And I just want to say a huge congratulations to all of them, to our students for being so amazing, and for the entire program.
Yeah, it's not easy to
Absolutely.
be accredited. You know, these accrediting bodies, you know, you have a general college accreditation, and then you end up having your programmatic accreditations, and a lot of times those are way more stringent.
Yes.
They go over that with a microscope, and so to be accredited again, I mean, it's necessary, but it also is a big statement, you know, that it's been done, and so congratulations.
You know, you say it you say it so quickly. You know, they got accredited, but like you said, you know, there's a lot of work went into that.
Yeah.
A lot of work went into that for all those folks to get that done. So, you know, they do need a round of applause.
Absolutely. It's a big deal. Yes. Thank y'all for all the work that was put into it. I know our new Dean of Allied Health, Shay Beard, had a lot to do with it. Deanne Kuiper, you know, helping lead this initiative. Just a lot of, and this happening, you know, while we're in a lot of transition as a college right now is also
yeah.
really impressive.
We
So,
are, definitely.
yep.
But the work keeps going, and so we just have to stay focused on the mission despite all the other transitions that are happening. And we're doing a great job of that. So
Yep. And more exciting news and accreditation to prove that we're doing a great job at that is that we got our report back from SAC-COC. This is our accreditation for the entire college, so
Right.
the big one.
Okay.
And we only had, if I'm not mistaken, 5 things that we had, minor things that we had to go back and redo in the report, you know, which is really good for colleges. I'm told usually that it's like 20 things that colleges get back. So.
Well, because it's like 73 total metrics
Yes.
that you're graded on, and then there's sub-metrics within that. And so the fact that all those standards came back in the positive, SAC-COC standards came back in the positive except for 5, and they were very minor from what I hear. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
Absolutely.
And I you know, thank you, Dr. Walker, for leading this initiative.
Yes.
They'll have the on-site visit in October, so that's going to be a big deal. But until then, I feel like she will be able to sleep a little lighter now that report is complete.
Yeah, I'm glad you gave credit where credit's due, because
Yeah.
certainly, you know, there's a lot of people that put a lot of time
yes,
and effort
this is a
into
college-wide effort.
But the one where everything gets synthesized
Mm-hmm.
by Dr. Danny Walker, and her name will be mentioned later in the show as well for another reason. So I hope she's ready.
Yeah. BTEC mini conference shenanigans, y'all.
Okay. That's right.
More congratulations to go around. I feel like this is such a season of harvest for all the hard work we've put in all year as a college. But our 2025 outstanding employees were announced last week. And
Yes.
so our faculty outstanding employee is Edward Hall, instructor of chemistry.
Good job,
Yay.
Woo!
Awesome job.
Our staff is Naja Haney, Student Success Navigator in Ruston.
Yes. Very
Congratulations, Naja. And then finally, our professional staff, Frank Boone, Dean
Ooh,
Boone, our
all
Dean
right.
of Instruction. These are deserving candidates. I know each and every one of them, and they're all just a pleasure to work with. They bring so many talents and gifts to the table.
Yeah, and I want to say something, because I think this is maybe the first time this has happened in the history of this award. I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me, but all those that are up here, fantastic job. I think this is the second time Frank Boone, my boss, has won this award.
Oh, wow.
For outstanding employee. I think he won it a few, maybe 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And to get up there, and I mean, he should be considered every year, but to win it a second time is pretty impressive.
That's a big deal.
Really.
Yeah. So, congratulations.
Absolutely.
But congratulations to everybody. Really.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. This recognition is completely deserved, and they'll get recognized at the LCTCS conference that'll be happening at the end of September of this year, I believe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So congratulations. We'll be celebrating then.
Right.
Next, we have our graduations coming up. Now, this is probably not news to anyone that I hope, but our graduation for our college students is going to be 6 p.m. May 19th. So if there's anybody out there who hasn't signed up to be there, hasn't put it on their calendar, make sure y'all are there. This is the culmination of everyone's hard work. So we need to make sure we show up for our students, and I love commencement. You know, I know you can speak to this too, Mr.
Oh, I
Doe.
do too. I tell my students we have a chapter in motivation, and we talk about things that motivate us and all this sort of thing. And one thing I tell them is my two most favorite days at Delta are fall and spring graduation, because I get to see these students first in introduction to business, and they go through a number of classes with me, and I get to know them fairly well. And so I just, I think I've been fortunate that I haven't missed one since I've been here. But, I mean, to go in and watch them go across that stage and get that higher education degree, that's a big thing. That's a big thing in their life. That's a big thing for their family. And I had a student in this week, and she said, Professor Lane, are you coming to graduation? I said, I'll be there. I'll be there to see you. So, yeah, it's a great time. It's a life changer for a lot of these folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it means a lot to see their Delta family there, as well as their family and
Yes,
friends
it
who
does.
come to
It
support
does.
them.
Truly great celebration. Yeah, I can't say enough about it. So it's just everybody who can be there, please be there. It's a wonderful time, and we have to celebrate the success of our students, because they're the reason why we're here.
Yep, absolutely. And another graduation that's important to go to, adult education, our graduation ceremony for our adult ed students, spring 2025, same day at 11 a.m. If you can make it, if you can get away from work, it is such a big deal as well for these students to see Delta family there. And it's such a game changer in their lives. Having a high school diploma just is a game changer. So this is one of my favorite events too, just to see students who, maybe things didn't go, the way they planned in their life, but they're finally getting that next step, that education, and maybe they're going to Delta after they get their diploma. Sure. It's very emotional ceremony. So we're excited about that too. They always have a student speaker who tells their story, which is also amazing. So if you can make it down to the adult education ceremony too, please do.
Yeah, I would say, with adult education, really with all the graduations, like you said, it's a lot of emotion that goes into it, a lot of time, a lot of, sweat equity. Mm-hmm. And it's funny how we try to keep everybody composed. It's like, don't clap.
Yes.
Don't, and nobody does that, like,
right.
ever. Like, if it's a celebration. Mm-hmm. When your child or your loved one gets called up on stage and they're crossing over to the next step in life, the next stage in life, that's a big deal. And so I always love how they say, please, no applause, and then everybody ignores that.
Just ignores it.
Just applaud. It's fine. Because, we're all excited. I want to applaud after everyone's name is called. I just want to do this the whole time,
Yeah.
But anywho, that's my take on things.
I agree with you, Ryan.
Yeah.
My family was one of the loudest in the crowd whenever I graduated, both times.
Right.
So, yeah, because they see, the pain and the sweat that goes into,
Right.
all the work behind the scenes as well. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna cheer for you.
For sure.
And then we also have some fun coming up this week. So, of course, we have the BTEC mini conference, but on the same day, we have Grill and Chill. So that'll be at Monroe. This is where you get to, your grades are in, usually the students are gone, and everybody can kick back, eat some good food, and have fun, games, fellowship with all the coworkers.
We talked about Frank Moon earlier, and every year for the Grill and Chill, he smokes some meat, and he's out there at 4 a.m. in the morning with all of his equipment, and he's just, he just is labor of love basically.
Absolutely.
For the college. And there's usually some other food out there, but I think about Frank, and I'm wondering if he's grilling again, if he's doing this thing again. Are you on the committee? Do you?
I am not actually. Okay. The Employee Recognition Committee is the one who's handling this event this time. So I believe Frank Boone is cooking again. I think we're going to have some fun giveaways that I think everybody's going to get one of an item, like a souvenir item, which is pretty cool. I'll leave that as a surprise because I did help with the designing of that. And then I think it's going to be kind of the same as past years. I'm pretty sure Frank Boone is cooking, and then a couple of other people, Frank Bennett, are chipping in as well.
That's great. Yeah, always a good time. And it's one of those things that you got to be here.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, we end the fall term with the Christmas party and the spring term with the grill and chill.
Yep.
A good way for everybody to come to campus from all the campuses and just go enjoy some good food and fellowship.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing. I'm getting close up on it. We look forward to seeing you at the grill and chill, right? And there's reasons for that.
Oh my God. You can tell we're approaching the feature quickly, you guys. We still have to do in case you missed it, but BTEC mini conference is also May 16th. Save the date. We're going to get into it on our feature.
I'm loving this tropical theme you gave to us, Cameron. Man, I'm handing over all the graphic design work. But yeah, same day, May 16th. So, and we do that on purpose. Have some professional and personal development on the same day that we're going to eat, and that everybody should be here on the Monroe campus. Close the campuses down. I think that was a question that came up in one of the college councils. Like, can we just close campuses? I say yes. That's my vote because everybody wants to be a part of this BTEC mini conference and grill and chill day for sure.
Oh yeah.
I know we're going to get onto it later, so I'm going to let it go.
Absolutely. And then finally, we have some employee appreciation campus lunches going on. Bastrop today is having their campus lunch to just appreciate their employees. Jonesboro is on May 14th and Ruston's on May 15th. So they're having their own little grill and chills, but then also hopefully coming to meet us in Monroe for a big grill and chill as well.
That's right.
So food all throughout the week over Delta. And then also finally, I wanted to mention this. Our electrician students at West Monroe were hired by Y Electric for a shutdown job to go to St. Francisville, do an electrical shutdown for a building. 19 students went, and they were paid as soon as they got on the van to go there. Their room and board was paid for. It was an overnight thing. And these are our students, getting real world experience, at a real job that they can put on their resume and talk about.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love to see that.
We had a press release go out, and it was in the LCTCS newsletter. So if you want more details, check it out. Check that out. All right. We're going to get into in case you missed it. Let's do it.
Of course, every time. That's your favorite one.
I love it. It's just, I love it. All right. So first off, this will be good. We'll go through quick. First off, we have our pinning ceremony at West Monroe. Our LPN students got pinned. That was the day we had bad weather, so I ended up having to go home to make sure my house didn't blow away, y'all. But I did get some great pictures from everybody who was there, and congratulations to these students. I just love these moments where they get the special attention from their families, get pinned, do the oath for the nursing, and really just, kind of a culmination of all their hard work. It looks like there was an amazing crowd of supporters there for these students, and Miss Sabrina Palmer always does an amazing job speaking, so I'm sure she put on a beautiful ceremony for these students. So congratulations, West Monroe
absolutely.
PN.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Congratulations.
Next, Ruston did some finals week snacks last week. So finals week was last week as the finals week, So they pass out snacks so everybody can make sure they had a good little breakfast. Because that's important when you're taking tests, right?
Yeah,
Make sure you
can't
eat
be
breakfast.
hungry and taking a test, right? Your stomach growling, everybody's, looking your way in the classroom because, oh man, and no. tame the lion, tame the beast, get some food, eat before you take the test, and
Yep.
you'll be better for it.
Oh yeah, get prepared. So they helped the students be prepared for all their finals at Ruston, and I'm sure a lot of other campuses did things like this. Sign dedication at Settlers Point. So this was also in the LCTCS weekly newsletter. Check it out if you want more details. But our own Philip Henson, who is the welding instructor for Tallulah and Lake Providence, designed and built this sign for the community in Poverty Point, where there's an HOA. They have a little subdivision community actually in the park, and they hadn't had a sign until now, and it helped cut expenses down for them by over 50% of what they were expecting. Philip built it in the shop. The students helped out a little bit, here and there, and they actually painted it. So it was just a cool way for LDCC welding to get connected to the community, to help where they're needed, and for, Philip to really hone his craft and show, hey, welding, can also be an art as well as an industrial endeavor.
Yeah, it's interesting because we look at those signs all the time, that we see around town. We see at subdivisions and, by college campuses, and we're thinking, okay, no big deal, it's a sign,
Right.
And there's a lot of work and effort and planning that goes into that kind of thing. And so for, again, LDCC to be a part of that process for this specific area is great. I mean, and I wish we could put our stamp on it, like, brought to you by LDCC.
And we are on the back. We are on the back
Okay,
of
good.
it. So
Very
that's
good.
a good
Very
way
good.
that we can, have our signature on there.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out Miss Sharon Bowman, who she actually is on the committee, the HOA. So that's how it got connected, right? She said, hey, I know a really talented welder. I work with him. And she connected Philip to the committee. And that's how it came about.
It's good.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good. That's really good, yeah.
Next, Kenworth had a partnership crawfish boil for all of their community partners. And of course, LDCC and Kenworth are like two peas in a pod. We love them. They help support our diesel program all the time. And so we had, I believe it was Caitlin, all you see who are pictured here, Dax, Rock, and Charles Stevenson. I think also Dr. Palermo came by, and Deanne Kuiper. So they were able to meet up with some past students who work at Kenworth now, and it was just a good old time. And who doesn't love crawfish?
I don't know anybody who doesn't
I
like
don't know anybody who doesn't like crawfish.
They wouldn't
either.
admit it, not in Louisiana. If you live in Louisiana, you're not admitting to not liking crawfish.
Exactly. So that was a great thing that happened last week. And then finally, faculty and staff appreciation at West Monroe / a retirement party for Miss Matilda Wilson.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know she was retiring this soon, and they honored her with a plaque for her decades of service in higher education and then 17 years with LDCC.
Wow. That's
And
good.
so thank you, Miss Matilda, for your amazing work and effort and dedication that you've put into LDCC, into students. As a financial aid advisor, we know you get the brunt of, students trying to figure out, solutions to problems, making sure they stay in school. And so we thank you for that service. And also looks like they had a lovely meal for her and a good little celebration to send her off and say goodbye.
Happy retirement.
Happy
That's great.
retirement. Absolutely.
Important to recognize folks for their hard work and their dedication. Definitely. I echo the sentiment. Happy retirement.
All right, I can tell these two are chomping at the bit. They
Come
are
on,
ready
come
to
on.
go. So let's get into our feature now.
Do you know? Do you know what this week holds for you, LDCC? Are you ready?
I told y'all.
Get ready. Because Professional Development Week has never been quite like this. No, hey, we're excited. As you can tell, I'm excited. Professor Lane's excited. I'm putting him on screen. Every semester, at the end of every semester, there is a Professional Development Week that is had at LDCC, and it has taken many forms. It's been over the past maybe 2 or 3 years that we've had, college-wide PD, and different things have happened. And since December, make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, since
2023.
2023, thank you. Help me out.
Anytime.
Since the fall of 23, the School of Business and Technology has done their part in Professional Development Week, which is this week, the week after finals. And we have always, we had decided that, we wanted to give back to the LDCC community in some way. And so we worked together, and Professor Lane being my right hand on this project, we just came up with this idea, like we don't want people to be looking for something professional development wise and personal development wise. We want the LDCC community, faculty and staff, and anybody who is interested to have an opportunity to get that development that they're looking for, to put on their evaluations, to learn, to fellowship with other colleagues and whatnot, to maybe talk about things and be in a space with those that they're not normally around, just to, again, exchange ideas. So we came up with this thing called the BTEC mini conference, again, way back in 2023. And usually it's at the end or the tail end of the week, usually in conjunction with some type of food, fun, or festivity that's going to happen later on that day. And this time around, we're just excited as always because BTEC Mini Conference is finally here. It's going to be in the theater, room 310 on the Monroe campus. And we have a great lineup of speakers that are coming to talk. So that's part one of what I was going to say. Professor Lane, I want to make sure I give you a chance to say something about the BTEC Mini Conference as well and what people should expect.
Well, I threw you under the bus earlier, but let me say that this was really a brainchild of Professor Pierce. So sometimes he'll come in the office and sit down, and we'll just start talking, and all of a sudden you can see his mind start, and I'm trying to figure out how to get him out of there before he comes up with something crazy. Well, one of those times he was in there, he basically came up with something crazy, and that was the BTEC mini conference. The idea of we need, everybody needs to give back to the community. They need to do things. If you have something that you can share, that's a good thing. And so, it started off with, those of us in the business and technology area. Let's see if we can do some things for our Delta family with some different conferences and that sort of thing. But it was Professor Pierce's brainchild, and it's really evolved so well because it started off with basically us, and now it's spread throughout the Delta community as far as folks that are going to be bringing things to us, and so you've got folks that are going to be participating, but you've got the folks that are putting these things together. And so who better than do professional development than ourselves, because you've got a lot of people that have a lot of expertise in a lot of different areas, and so share that with others. So we get pretty excited about the BTEC mini conference. We try to decorate, we try to make it look kind of cool in there and that sort of thing, and have a fun time before we go into the grill and chill. So and so I think it's good for the professional development. It's good for people to get together. It's upbeat, and we just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking back at some of the past agendas, and like you said, when we first started this, it was the division was kind of putting it on, giving some thoughts to things like there was a syllabus and watermark solutions, kind of a drop-in workshop. There we did a what color is your personality, getting wealthy with Joe. That was the very first one, and then I did something called bet on yourself, and then kind of we went from there, and then the second time around it wasn't it doesn't just have to be BTEC like division faculty that are putting this on. So we started inviting others to come in and speak. And I don't have the spring one up or the summer one up, but that was the first time that you came on and you talked. You did your first presentation, and that was back when we had the format was 45 minutes, to an hour long presentations. We've changed that since. But yeah, you had yours. What was it?
It was about social media.
Yeah, social media. And we had, I remember, Nashad James and Misty Moore came over, and they did something on, I think, networking and some other things. We had just a lot of great speakers, and then just this most recent one that was actually recorded and presented on Teams for those that were at a distance. We had a police officer Dennis Aswell come on and talk about safety. We had Dr. Deborah Jackson talk about the business of science, and then we had our amateur radio hour, hamming it up with Ed Hall, who is our professor of the year, and Mark Ketchell and Jared Fields
that was
as
awesome.
well. And so it started changing, and that was like this most recent one. We changed up the format. It wasn't just about let's do this for 45 minutes to an hour. We're doing 20-minute short presentations, and we are encouraging more because we could fit more speakers in at that point. In those couple of hours before the big party that happens on campus, we could fit more speakers in. And so the 20 minutes is also less daunting, for people. So it's TED Talk style. Can you hold our attention? Can you give us what we need
in 20 minutes
in a
or
very
less.
quick format? And so that last one that we had just this past December of 2024, we had a total of 9 speakers. And you came back and spoke again on the art of intentionality. Tracy Clark talked about is your mind full or mindful. Julie Salter came and talked about energizing the workplace. And Scott Higginbotham, talked about ChatGPT. We had equity in education. We had a conversation about that as well. So it was just, Corey Johnson led that one. So it just was really a great
stuff.
A great time. And it kind of serves a couple purposes. Again, an opportunity for those that are looking for some personal and professional development, come on by, enjoy, listen. But then it's also not so much of a big ask, right? You might be somebody that's on the fence about presenting. You might be saying, I don't want to get up in front of a bunch of people, but you really have something to say.
Yeah.
You really, it's on your heart to share something, whether it's from your professional ideology, for what you do every day, day to day. You have some information that you think would be insightful for the Delta community. You may have something like a hobby or something now, because we're kind of loosening up a little bit, talking about personal development that you might feel is interesting for people to listen to. Again, that was ham radio, but the ham radio discussion has, safety, implications as well during emergencies and natural disasters. I mean, whatever you're thinking of, I'm sure if you pass it by us and we screen it and we see that, it's likely going to have value, of course, then we're going to say, yeah, let's present. I don't know that I've ever had to turn anybody down from presenting, because everybody, whenever they come to me with an idea, it's usually a really good idea and something that is worth hearing and worth listening to. So, use the BTEC mini conference not only for that fun and fellowship, use it as a springboard for something else. We've had many people that have done BTEC mini conference that have then presented at Convocation, which is a little bit longer format, that are presented at LCTCS conference, which is its own stage as well. It's an opportunity to just sharpen the knife, if you, I don't know.
Sharpen your skills.
Sharpen your skills, that's right. So that you can just do maybe more than what you thought you were going to do.
Yeah.
This is low stakes. This is just us. It's family. You're talking to family at the BTEC mini conferences. If you're thinking about it, be a presenter either this time around or next time around, just do it with us, right? And then later on, you can take that to a higher level. You'll be surprised at what you can do.
Now tell me, I'm dying to know.
Yes.
What can we expect this year?
So I'll say something, but I want to segue. I want to go to decorations, but okay, this year, it is going to be in the theater. So one room. We did one time in the summer version or spring version. We did it over 2 rooms, and that didn't. I felt like that was just kind of disjointed. So it's going to be in one room. We're going to keep it that way. The theater. We have about 6 speakers lined up.
Awesome.
And so if you're listening now, listen closely. These are the speakers that we have so far. There might be room for one more, but we're probably pretty much settled into this right now. The speakers for this year's mini conference. I should have had a graphic, right? So you have to look at my face or just listen, right? Stephanie Wilkes, our brand new director of library services. She is presenting, and the topic is her catchy title is ChatGPT, Your New Work Bestie.
Love it.
Then we have Patience Talley. She raised her hand. She said, yes, I want to do this too. So she's presenting Networking 2.0, Authentic Networking, Building Real Connections.
This is a good one. She is an expert on this topic.
I mean,
and
I was going to say that, but yeah, we know this.
She gave this presentation at a recent meeting I went to, and it is fire. It is straight gas. So yes, I'm looking forward to that.
So again, Stephanie Wilkes presenting on ChatGPT, Patience Talley presenting on networking. Naja Haney, her title is Be the Best You,
Awesome.
The Pathway to Success. So she's going to be there. So I expect to see tons of Ruston folks coming on over to watch their people, their family, that Ruston family, and celebrate them. Ashley Ellis is also going to present. So happy to see Ashley jump in. Her title is The Teacher Shortage is Everyone's Problem, Higher Ed's Role in the Solution.
That's good.
So that's near and dear to her heart as she's training teachers for elementary education. And I know she knows a little thing or two about secondary education as well. So, she could speak to the whole gambit. And then Julie Salter is going to come back for a repeat. Or not a repeat, but she's coming back again. She had this idea. She got some training in poverty. I think it was a Board of Regents training and just trying to understand poverty for our students and how that impacts them and their success.
That's good.
So she's going to speak to understanding poverty, supporting the success of community college students.
I feel like that would be great for everybody at Delta to tune
definitely
into.
important. And then Danny Walker, I'm calling her out because you're on the hook now. So Joe knows all about this, right? Don't tell me something and then just it be like a question mark behind it, right? Should I do this? So Danny is thinking about how much she loves LDCC over the weekend. And she emails me.
As one does.
Yes. She emails me and she says, Ryan, tell me a little bit about this BTEC mini conference. Do y'all still have room for another presenter? And I say, I immediately respond back, well, and that's, on the weekend. It's like, wait, what? But I saw her email come through. I was like, I got to say something. So I immediately respond back. I was like, yes, we could use another, it's fine. What would you like to do? She's like, I don't know. I'll think about it. So this morning, she emails me and she's like, I'm thinking about, I've been thinking about all these options and work-life balance, especially for like working moms, Do you think that would be something that would be of interest? And I'm thinking to myself, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
How many students do we have that are trying to balance being a student and a mom and they're also probably working?
Yes.
So absolutely, this is a topic that needs to be, talked about.
Anybody can get
And I think that work-life balance for women, we're also going to be, think about that for men too as well. There's going to be application to everybody's life. And so, yes, Danny, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm announcing it. I even emailed her and said, I'm announcing it on the Morning Blend. You're going to be up there. Everybody was going to want to hear from you anyway as our SAC COC leader. So, but this is something different, right? She's not talking about SACs. She's not talking about accreditation. She's talking about something that's a little bit more personal. And that's what makes this format and the BTEC mini conference as it has evolved over the years such a special occasion because there are elements in there that are personal to us that actually speak to us on a deeper level. And so again, this is going to be another great time and we're so excited.
I am excited. This is amazing. Now, another reason why the BTEC mini conference is so impactful, so successful is because of the atmosphere that's created. Mr. Joe, what decorations can we expect this year?
Well, if I have the opportunity to, Christmas time, it has to be Christmas,
Of course.
That sort of thing. But if it's just kind of not a special time, that it's got to be. I'm going to go somewhat patriotic.
Yes.
We've got right after this, we've got Memorial Day coming up. A lot of you already hear a good bit about that, and we've got the 4th of July. So it's the patriot. So we're going to do some patriotic type decorations for the room this time.
Awesome.
My daughter has a wealth of stuff, and so we were talking off camera. I think a lot of folks here know that I help with the Run for the Red, White, and Blue, which is a huge fundraiser for the Chenault Aviation and Military Museum, and a number of folks here from Delta have signed up to walk or run in it. There's room for more, by the way. We'd love to have more come, but with that we have a lot of it has of course a patriotic theme, a Memorial Day theme. So we have a lot of different things that we use for it. So we borrow some of those things and bring them in here for our mini our mini conference. So I wouldn't say that I'm hiding from you what we're going to do, because I don't know yet. It's all the way till Thursday.
Well,
but
you just have more surprises up your sleeve,
Friday,
Mr.
but yeah,
Joe.
we will have it well decorated, and and I want to really encourage people to come to the mini conference. I mean, we'll have refreshments and that sort of thing for folks.
You will be left with something on your stomach.
Yeah.
And it's just, gosh, if you're here in the building, I mean, you don't have to stay the whole time, but come be a part of that mini conference. I would encourage everybody to come in. It's, like I say, it's light and it's bright, and these folks that are doing these presentations, they're really, really wonderful in what they do. So, I just kind of envision a lot of empty offices, because people should be partaking of this. So I hope they do. I hope they do. But we'll have it decorated nicely. We'll have it decorated in such a way that it's a great atmosphere to be in, and snacks and that sort of thing. So yeah, we really want folks to come out.
Absolutely.
And this time, I promise, we'll have a break. Because the last time, I think we ran through all 9 presentations in the interest of time very, very quickly. But we'll have us a little 10, 15 minutes in between, like the first 3 and the second 3, just to make sure people can talk, take a bathroom break,
right.
And just kind of refresh themselves. Because what was really interesting was, it seemed like after every single talk, there was people wanted to debrief about what they had just heard.
Yep.
And,
let it sink in.
I didn't think to make the space for that. So this time around, we'll have space for some talking and some visiting, and just everybody just to enjoy themselves. Because again, I love seeing. That's probably one of the best parts of it. Is you got folks up, giving of themselves, and they're presenting, and you got others that are just kind of mingling
soaking it in,
and they're really just talking intently to each other, and whether it's about the semester, whether it's about what was just said, you can just look at each other, everybody's faces, and they're just engaged, just an opportunity to be engaged. And it's just it's so nice to see it.
So, and if I maybe, since we're probably not going to close down campuses and all that, if I'm on the Jonesboro campus, but I kind of want, a piece of the action, are we recording it again this year?
Yeah, so we'll live stream it again,
Awesome.
and we'll have to send out the Teams link, or that I probably need to get that to you, Cameron, before yesterday.
We'll get it. We'll get it out. We'll
so
do
that,
it.
Yeah, those that want to be a part of it, can certainly watch it. We had quite a number actually tune in last year. We had probably 30 or so people
Awesome.
that tuned in via Microsoft Teams, which was nice. And we had about 30 or 40 in the room, like in the theater itself. So it's really a good turnout. I mean, when you think about how many employees we have, and I would say, I don't know, close to a third of those employees across all the campuses, maybe a quarter is a better number, come in to take part, or stopping what they're doing, having it on in the background while they work, whatever. We appreciate the support.
Absolutely.
And it's always been a great time, and we just want it to continue to be a great time for people to just enjoy themselves.
Awesome. All right, this week, is there anything else we can expect?
So, coming out in the week at a glance.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to put the camera on both Joe and I, because again, it's my fault.
Another crazy idea, huh?
It's my fault. So Joe and I are talking. I want to say it was Friday, but it was probably more like Thursday.
And Joe's trying to get you out of his office so that
Exactly.
you're not
So,
going to come up with anything crazy.
It's dangerous whenever I sit down. If I sit down in a chair, something's going to happen, because usually I'll talk to him at his door, and I'll just lean up against the door frame, right? That's a shorter that's at least just a half hour. When I sit down, that might be an hour and a half.
And Mr. Joe goes like this.
So
He's like,
Professor
no.
Lane's trying to do his best to continue working and input grades and all the things that he does, and be the best faculty member around, right?
Yeah.
And I say, you know what? I'm thinking about some things, and I say, BTEC mini conference is Friday, and we're going to have all these great speakers. And it turned out that on Wednesday, which again, this will be in the week at a glance, Professors Campbell and Warner from our division, on Wednesday, they're going to present they're going to have 2 sessions on Excel basic training. And this was
awesome.
At the request of kind of a collaboration with the Vice Chancellor of Finance and Administration's office, just wanting more information out there for those that need it about Excel. We have a lot of employees who are using Excel who could use some refreshers on how to do anything from copying and pasting to sorting and filtering.
Shoot, that's
all
useful
the way
to me.
Advanced things like pivot tables and things like that. And so I so Dr. Naomi Mitchell and our group had been talking, and what we came up with was she wants recordings, right? She wants things that people can go and see.
Right, at any time.
And the most natural way for those recordings to happen for our faculty, for Dr. Campbell and Professor Warner, is to present it. Like you getting in the flow and presenting it in a workshop style. And then we can record that or record the screen and then post little clips or snippets of that presentation for everybody to go look at when they need to on demand in Canvas and something like that. So Wednesday they're doing 2 sessions. One, it'll come out in the weekly. It's either 9 or 9:30 is one for about an hour and 15 or so. And another one starts at 1 o'clock.
So details incoming.
Right. So that's Wednesday. So then I'm sitting down with Professor Lane. Well, gosh, on the Monroe campus, it's just 4 of us. Professor Warner, Professor Campbell, Professor Lane, and myself. And I was like, well, what are we doing? I mean, obviously we're working, building up mini conference and whatnot, but what else can we do? And Professor, you got something to say? I know you got something.
No. I just shouldn't have let you in the door.
It's like I should have just shut the door.
You see his mind, it starts turning, and he's coming up with something else, and it's always it's always interesting. You don't know what it's going to be, but you have to tell them what else we've got up our sleeve.
I'm dying to know.
So me being me and probably a little greedy with the week, I said, you know what? I don't know what everybody else is doing. I'm sure there's going to be faculty meetings and staff meetings and probably just departmental pro dev or whatever that's going on. But I was like, wouldn't it be nice if the division, if the School of Business and Tech would just maybe offer something for the college community every day this week. So instead of it just being Friday.
And Wednesday.
Then it happens. It's going to be Wednesday. And then, Professor Lyon's like, maybe you and I should do something, on Tuesday and Thursday just to fill in the week. So we're sorry we don't have anything today, right? So I say, what about Professor Lane is such a great financial planner, retirement planner.
Yep.
He's been a CFO in his former life. He knows the ins and outs of all this stuff. And I was like, Professor, is there something you think you'd want to give to the college community? And he says, well, get out of my office. And then he thinks about it. He sleeps on it. And sure enough, on Sunday afternoon, he's texting me on Mother's Day. So I guess all the festivities had kind of quieted down over on his end. And he said, you know what, I've been giving this some thought, and I'm grading as well, too. And I think I can make something happen. So it looks like, and again, details to come, on Thursday in room 363, which is the main business classroom, Professor Lane, about noon, so bring your own sack lunch or whatever, is going to present on retirement, insurance, and all things related. And I'm going to let him kind of speak to that a little bit more.
Everybody, I guess except me, gets to retirement at some particular time, and there is one great fear of retirement. The greatest fear by far that people have about retirement is something we're going to talk about on Thursday, and we're going to talk about what that fear is, why it is a fear, and then we're going to talk about what you can do to prepare yourself from that happening. So that's not you can do some things to alleviate that.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about how do you want to live your retirement? Well, I'd like to live it pretty well.
Right.
So how do you do that? So we're going to talk about that. But we're first going to address, if you Google personal financial planning or you Google retirement, you're going to see something that comes up, the greatest fear that is out there right now. And we're going to talk about how to take care of that greatest fear. In the world of in the world of insurance, we're just going to chat a little bit about insurance, and maybe a lot of the folks that are in the room that day will pretty much maybe have their insurance set, but it may be some things that they can pass on to, maybe it would be something helpful to them or to some of their family or whatever. But let's about life insurance. Do you need it or not? Why do you need it? what kind, just the thought process on life insurance, what it's all about.
Right.
And we'll probably get into a little bit of property insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You can do. There are some critical things you have to do with property insurance to make sure that you are properly covered. So we're going to talk a little life. We're going to talk a little property insurance. Maybe throw something else in the way of insurance. But I mean, practical things that, these are things that you need to be sure that you address.
Yep.
Or, and again, people will talk about, well, is life insurance important or not? Why is it important? How much do I need? Well, what kind do I need? And that sort of thing. So we're going to address that. So hopefully we're going to, how does life insurance fit into the grand scheme of, or how does insurance as a whole fit in the grand scheme of our careers? We're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we'll get into, but at the end of a certain time, there's retirement. So let's make retirement work well. We'll talk about how to do that, and we'll, maybe an hour, maybe a little less, but it'll be good practical things. Some things that we can chat. I don't like to lecture. That's not my style. My style is more an interaction sort of thing. So it'll be some time for some interaction, and I think we'll have a good time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to show up because I know with retirement, they always say the earlier you start planning, the better, right?
Never too early.
Yes, so never too early to start planning for retirement. So I think everybody can find some good knowledge nuggets.
And then on Tuesday.
Yeah, tell us what's going on Tuesday.
So to complete the week on Tuesday, and it really, I kind of owe this to Dr. Alicia Jones for putting me on the spot. She let me speak at the MLT or MLA, pinning ceremony, MLA, MLT. And so, and she introduced me as a Maxwell certified speaker.
Right.
John Maxwell training that I've had, training for coaching and speaking and whatnot. And so she says that, and it made me think, I probably need to do more with that, that certification than I've been doing. And so I said, I put myself on the spot, and I said, okay, there's these things called mastermind groups that the Maxwell team encourages their coaches to utilize. And it's really supposed to be like a very small group, and you get like a group of 8 to 10 people together, and you work through, a book and some lessons from a specific text that John Maxwell wrote. One that's probably the most popular, I would say it is the most popular text that he's written for this type of thing, is called The 15 Laws of Growth. And it's a green, if you ever look for it, 15 Laws of Growth, it's a green cover. It's really more of a personal success type of discussion. And so really we're not going to be able to do a full-fledged mastermind because it depends on how many people, right? First of all, mastermind groups usually span weeks. You meet once a week for like 6 to 8 weeks. But what I'm trying to introduce is the concept of what that would look like. And then if there's interest, maybe we can continue it on throughout, the course of some semesters, with, or maybe even over the summer with, faculty and staff. But this is really geared to those people who are, you're thinking, okay, I'm headed this year, the academic year is over. I'm headed into the summer. What do I want to do for myself? Well, maybe it's time for us to take a journey inward and figure out what ways that we can be successful. And I'm really probably looking more like presenting on chapters 1 and 2, maybe at the most. So it's going to be kind of a lunch and learn / mastermind. Lunch and learn, of course, is more lecture style. Mastermind is more Q&A. So we're going to kind of blend all that in together into one, just depending on what the size of the audience is.
Okay.
If it's a large audience, and this will be in room 363, so a classroom. Professor Lanes will be in room 363 as well. So it can't have too many people, but, just enough that would just want to come in and just kind of listen and think about some things. What are the traps to success? It's kind of one of the things that you actually talk about in this, as well as what are the keys to success. So we're just experimenting, right? I mean, that's how this whole thing came about. BTEC mini conference was just an experiment. Yep. It's like, what can we do? What do we do? I mean, getting out, getting out of your own way and putting yourself out there to do some things that maybe you hadn't done in the past. That's what this is all about. So we're using Professional Development Week to do just that, to introduce some new things. If it works, great. If it doesn't, oh well, we get the feedback and then we either do better next time or scrap it and do something different.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But all this week, the Division of Business and Technology is going to do our part to give back to the college. Now, these on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will not be streamed.
Mm-hmm.
This is just if you're on campus, if you can make it to campus, come on down. And then Fridays will be streamed because that's of course the big event, the culminating event of the semester for us. So thank you for allowing us, of course, Cameron, to be on the show. I know I'm always on the show, but thank you, Professor, for being on here too.
Very much,
Yes,
very
thank
much.
you.
We really love doing this kind of thing, and we enjoy all of the participation and all the smiling faces that we see. And again, it's just a way just to uplift our little part of the world, in LDCC. So thanks,
I
Cameron.
think it's going to be enough motivation where we can skip Monday morning motivation today because this week is full of all kinds of opportunities to get motivated, to get your professional development, to get knowledge, to get wisdom, and just soak it all up. So thank you, Mr. Joe, so much for finally being allowed to come on the show.
Right. And
via Ryan.
everybody is expecting turtles at BTEC mini conference, so that's right.
I understand.
Everybody gets a box, right? I'm just kidding.
But yes, thank you for coming on. You've been a pleasure.
Enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I know you're going to attract a lot of Miss Liz is calling. Hey, Miss Liz, I'll get you back here in a second. I know you're going to attract. You already attracted a ton of viewers because you are the legendary Mr. Joe Lane.
Watch out now.
Yeah.
It's been fun, though. It really has.
Yes. So everybody keep an eye out for your week at a glance for all the details on this week's things. And we will catch you next week on the Morning Blend. And I hope everybody has a great week.
Bye. Thank y'all.
Bye, y'all.
And we're clear.
Here's the agendas, y'all.
Oh, it did it finally print?
Finally printed.
Wow.